everyone, and welcome to another episode. I'm really excited. My guest today is a content creator who's known for working at a museum and writing a romance novel that takes place in a museum. So please, without further ado, welcome Zahra Thaleb. Thank you, Zahra, for being here.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me, Kendall.
And so art. So what museum, if you want to share what museum you work at, or at least what you studied that got you into that?
Yeah, so I work at the Met Museum in New York City. It's literally a dream job. Literally the best job ever. It'll actually be my 8-year anniversary. Like in a week from now. So as we're recording,
Wow.
it'll be like 8 years. I'm so excited.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, I got into the museum field a little randomly. Like I mentioned, was studying fashion and was like, this is just not for me. It's too competitive. I didn't want to be a designer. I didn't really love merchandising. And so I pivoted. I moved, like when I was in college, I moved back home and randomly stumbled upon a history of photography class. And I was like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Like I've never gotten an easy A like ever in my life. And so I went into art history immediately after college, just moved to New York City, and stopped at nothing until I got to the Met. And that's now I'm 8 years later and I'm
Yeah.
loving life.
Wow, what a daunting, how exciting, but also what a
Yes.
daunting A to go into a creative field.
Mhm.
Isn't always easy, as those of us who like love it
Yes.
know. And then
Yeah.
also to like make the jump and go to New York City, which is like everybody's like dream, right? That's
Yeah.
kind of crazy. Was it an easy decision for you, or did you kind of, stir on it?
Um, yeah, I'm the type of person that's just like, I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna ask questions. I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. And so at my, ripe age of 22, 23, I was like, I'm just gonna move. I had like $50 in my account. Thankfully, I had some like relatives who lived down here on Staten Island. I lived with them for a few months and was doing like literally a $50 a day internship, and I just made it work, and I like never looked back. I didn't have any fears. Like my mom was freaking out. My entire family was like, she's gonna move back in a few months. And I was like, no, I'm gonna make it work. I don't know how, but I'm going to. And yeah, that's like one of my
Yeah.
best qualities.
Wow, that is because I'm like too type A for that, and I could not. It sounds very much like my middle sister just moved to Brooklyn, and
Oh my
granted,
God.
she's living with a friend, and I think that's
Yes.
why she made the jump because there was an available room, but like couldn't be me. I like need a plan, so I
Oh my God.
envy those who have one. So I want to transition into content creation. So
Sure.
as I was stalking your entire TikTok and Instagram, you started with talking about books and doing kind of book reviews, but I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, in the more recent times, you've transitioned into a more daily vlog of your life, working
Yeah.
at a museum, your adorable outfits, and specifically that you're writing a romance novel. Tell us
Yeah.
about your content creation journey, and then I want to talk about writing.
Sure. So actually, way, 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 way back, you probably didn't make it that far back on my page, but I actually started with lifestyle content before I switched
Oh,
into bookish stuff. And my content was focused on being the oldest Middle Eastern daughter and how I kind of like broke traditions and left home
mm,
and all this. And that just felt like a little too, it felt like too much of my therapy. So I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I became obsessed with books and reading through TikTok. So I transitioned to start
mm,
posting about like, book reviews.
yeah.
And then as I started writing my novel, I just felt like I did not want to contribute um to the like review space, just
Mhm.
because I want to be liked by other authors as well. And I have a lot of opinions. So I just didn't want to like put that out there. And then on top of that, it just felt more natural for me to film lifestyle content.
Mhm.
It's easier. I was listening to one of your episodes the other day and you mentioned that talking to a camera is like really really hard, and I totally agree. Like for me, I can't come up with
No.
a script. I have to do it all as a voiceover. Um, And I think with like the book that I'm writing, seeing my lifestyle
Mhm.
kind of sells the book because
Yeah.
I'm like working at a museum and you can see
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
It's also interesting. Like I think that must have been one of the first videos I saw of yours that came up on like my feed was a day in the life. And I think it was the museum part first. I was like, oh, this is really interesting. I think
Yeah.
you yourself with just like your style and your vibe are already so
Yeah.
interesting and like
Such a
unique or you want to
nice.
see. And then it was like, oh, she's writing a novel. Oh, she's writing a romance novel that takes place in a museum. And it really is a great like layer to it, I think.
That's so nice. Thank you so much. Sometimes I'm like, who cares about me and my life and my novel? But hearing that like kind of took all those steps makes me feel
No,
good.
I'm like dying to find more writers or aspiring writers on TikTok and stuff because I do think it's such a daunting and solo experience.
Yes.
And I also think that like it's such a long process. My sister and I are writing our own things and we're each other's only person, but we also are like writing very different and also like your life gets in the way and so you don't always have like it's not an everyday thing that you can kind of catch up on people with people,
Yeah.
there's and so it's a very isolating thing, I think.
You know, it's funny that you bring this up because I felt the same way. I was like, I need
Mhm.
more writers in my life, and it is so isolating. And actually, the power of TikTok brought me to another content creator who lives in New York City. Her name is Zoe, but her username, what she's most famous for, is New York City Book Ho. Uh,
Okay.
and she has a book club and also a writing group where she like cycled out like
Oh my
different
gosh.
seasons, and I was like, I'm gonna join this. I need bookish, I mean, I need writer friends. And so
Yeah.
I joined it a year ago, and it was like I forget, like an 8 week session or something like that. And I just became friends with my writing group, and we still write
Okay.
together to this day. And so like finding that community, especially through TikTok,
Yeah.
like was just so rewarding. And yeah, joining a writing
Oh,
group is like the best piece of advice that I could give.
okay. Okay.
Like find a writing group that you meet in person and write with.
Tell us
Is
about, you don't have to tell us about your book, but tell us
Mhm.
if you don't want to, but tell us a little bit about writing and your journey and like the goods and bads, because I will say, this is what I stole from work today
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I
Love.
don't plot with note cards as
Yeah.
I see them on your, and I was like, I know we have some in my office. Like, why don't I take them home and try that?
Yeah. I can tell you a little bit about my book and tell you a little bit about my process because it's
Okay.
been a hot mess. So essentially, I'm writing a contemporary romance novel about an art historian who has to choose between her dream job and anonymity when a funding opportunity for the Winter Gala comes through to the museum that she's working at. Um, However, this funding that comes through is linked to a very controversial foundation that um, is from my main character's past. And so she
Hmm.
has to work with the funding and her professional ambitions and maybe an unexpected romance with the foundation's CEO. So that's just like a little
Oh,
snippet of my book. It takes place at a fictional museum called the Manhattan
okay.
Museum. She's a fellow who works there in the Renaissance art department. And yeah, it's just, it follows that story. Um,
I love that.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I have like slashed it completely from my first draft to my second draft. So much has changed and it's hard to keep track. Hence the note
Yeah.
cards. But yeah, I am a pantser through and through.
Okay.
And I actually hate that about me. It's like the worst thing in the entire world to be a pantser. So I've gone to outlining,
Okay.
especially in my second draft. I am like literally word for word going through my manuscript and summarizing it into chapters, like or into paragraphs, so that way I can know what's happening in my novel. And then I have my note cards here to just move around and fix and
Okay.
add. And yeah, I don't know if that was coherent at all because even
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
my mind, it doesn't make sense still.
No, I constantly wonder how those authors that just like write it all down, have it all together and like in their head, like
I don't know.
in
I
the
don't know.
yeah, like no outlining. But then the ones that outline, I'm like, but if you spent so much time outlining, do you feel like you're even doing anything at all?
That is currently my problem because I like when it comes to my writing, I'm like, I have a timeline. I know I want this done by a certain time, and outlining takes up so much of my time. And I'm like, I could be writing, I could be like finished with my second draft, but I
Mhm.
just know that if I don't do the outline, my
Yeah.
second draft will not be as good as I want it to be. But it does take so much time. Outlining is such
Yeah.
a massive undertaking.
Yeah,
So
I like haven't done that yet. I'm now going through the zero draft and going, wow, I really put her name as two different last names through.
oh, literally
So
changed my main character's name like 5 times throughout the first draft 0.
is that yeah, yep. So no, I get it. And I keep thinking to myself, like, you know what's fun? If I just make a Pinterest board of things. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
that's just fun. It's not actually doing like it
But
is, but
it's
it
so
isn't. But
fun.
it's so fun.
You have
So
to
that's
have the
funny.
vibe. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like what would the cover look like? You know,
Oh
those
my
kind of
God.
things. But that's so funny. So then
Yeah.
where do you like to write? I assume we're in your little nook right now.
Yeah. This is like my little desk nook. I work from home here. But I actually hate writing at home. I like cannot write at home. I guess like I don't know, something about it. I'm getting too in my head and I'm like so distracted. I'm like, let me scroll on
Mhm.
TikTok, let me have a snack, like let me watch
Yes.
TV. So I love to write at coffee shops. That's like
Okay.
probably my favorite space to write. I also like writing in libraries. I also have like a membership at it's like a bookstore slash library in Brooklyn called the Center for Fiction. It's actually the first library ever in New York City. I think it predates the New York Public Library by I think 50 years. I could be wrong on
Oh
that.
wow.
And so I have a membership there and they have like writing spaces, which is really great. I feel like my definition of happiness is just, well, one, I don't know if I feel like happiness is almost a myth. Like, I feel like, yeah,
Yes.
that sounds so terrible. Like, I feel like people are always chasing happiness and never can
Mm,
live in the now and feel happy, like, because they're just chasing the
yeah.
next layer of happiness.
Yeah.
So my definition of happiness is being like content in yourself and who you are. Um, because with that, everything else just falls into place. Like you can be
Hmm.
like happy in a relationship because you're content with who you are. You can be happy at work because of
Yeah.
who you are. So like I think it's just like self acceptance is like my I guess my definition of
Yeah. And
happiness.
so what are you pursuing in this chapter of your life?
Oh my goodness, what am I pursuing?
Other
I
than writing a book, you know.
Yeah, I think that's really like I'm honestly just trying to finish writing this book. I like really want it to be completed. I want the world to read it. It's so important to me. I want to tell stories of art workers. I want to tell stories with main Middle Eastern Muslim women who are desirable and beautiful and quirky and maybe a little mean sometimes, and just share it with the world. I feel like the representation is needed. So
Mhm.
that's really what I'm focusing on in this next chapter of life, and just also like appreciating life as well and just like being more thankful for everything I have around me. I feel like I can get I get so like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
flustered with everything, and I just want to also as I'm getting older like just be more appreciative for what I have.
That's a good
Sure.
answer.
I
Now,
am on TikTok and Instagram at Zara.Taleb. And that's pretty much it. I do have a Substack called The Unedited, but I don't
fun.
really post there anymore. Maybe I will.
Why not?
Why not?
Sarah, thank you so much for being here. I greatly
Yes.
appreciate it. I have had such a fun time and
Oh,
like so many episodes, time just like flew by and we're like over an
truly.
hour.
Oh my God. No, I had such a great time talking with you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm glad.